Hello, 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 and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. If you guys have not left a review, I would very much appreciate that. And, maybe you're not going to listen to the end. So if you haven't gotten the books, go to farmingwithoutthebank.com and grab your books. And we do have them in a bundle, so you can get them at a discount if you're going to buy more than one. All right, let's talk today about the tales of two dads. And this was a very interesting presentation that Nelson's son-in-law gave at Think Tank. And I think that it is very much needed to share because so many people do not understand what is infinite banking. So many people think that it is a life insurance policy. So many people think that we are talking about a rate of return, and it angers me. It really, really does. I am so sick and tired of people commenting about, well, what's my rate of return? What's my rate of return? Even existing clients get hung up in what's my rate of return because we're not studying the concept. Right? If we go back to Nelson's book, if you are a client and you have not read Becoming Your Own Banker, why? You are becoming your own banker. You have a policy. You should be reading that book. You should be reading that book once a year. And I have a new client who said, you know what? I listened to Mr. Nelson's book and I'm not putting enough money into my policy. I'm going to be in the same situation and I'm going to have too much money all the time. It's not getting into the policy, right? Because he is reading the book. And so get the book, study the concept, be a student of the concept. Yes, I know you don't have all day like I do to study it, but you have enough time to listen to it. Nelson has his book on audio. You can read it a little bit every night, right? It's a super, super fast read. Okay, with all that being said, it is not about a rate of return. And it was very interesting to hear David, Nelson's son-in-law, talk about his two dads. And the reason that he calls them his two dads is because obviously he has his biological father and then he had Nelson. And David was very, very close to Nelson. He runs the Nelson Nash Institute. He was Nelson's right hand. And so when we look at what David's real dad, his biological father, did, he was in the military. He retired from the military. He worked. He had his hobbies, his whatever he was into, right? And when they both passed away within about a year and a half of each other. And so when his dad passed away, his dad left them with a house, right, that had to be cleaned out. He had a little bit of extra money. His whole purpose in life was just to be comfortable during retirement. That was it. And he was. And he had enough money to live. But that was his goal, to be comfortable in retirement. When Nelson passed away, he had 13 life insurance policies that were paid out on him. I think he had 23 others, I believe, or 20 some others that were left to the family that they still have these policies that he was the owner on. Nelson's whole prerogative was to leave a legacy, to leave something for the next generation. He lived very comfortably. He had money. He worked until the day that he passed away. He did not retire and do nothing for 30 years. And so we have this belief that we should be retiring, we should be comfortable. We don't need to leave the next generation wealthy. Right? Because as somebody said on one of my social media platforms the other day, well, they don't need it. They're just going to lose it anyway. Oh my gosh. Oh, that is a whole nother podcast that I will rant on. Are you kidding me? And so we don't want to leave it to the next generation. So we think we should spend it all. We are very short-sighted and very selfish people by nature. So we're not thinking about inheritance. It's absolutely crazy to me how many people I talk to that say, well, I don't need all that death benefit. I don't need all that death benefit on my wife. They don't need all that death benefit. It comes with it. It's just part of the life insurance. It's part of the concept, is to leave the next generation. If we're concerned about what they're going to do with it, then that's on us. Don't leave it to them. Nobody said you have to leave it to your family. I talked to an existing client yesterday, and he said that he is really good friends with the neighbors. And he was farming their land and they mentored him into farming. And he is on their will. He is getting some of the money from that family. And some of the children in the family aren't getting anything because they didn't participate in the family. Nobody said you have to leave it to your family. I don't care who you leave it to. But why can't we leave some sort of, why can't we not leave, but why can't we think generational wealth? Why are we not wanting to teach the next generation what we've learned? The fact that we're not teaching them means that the 1%ers stay the 1%ers. Why do those families always control all the money in the world? Because those families teach their kids what's going on. It was very interesting to hear the two stories, because I just didn't even think about it. One person is living just to get through retirement and be comfortable and hoping they don't run out of money and go to some car shows or go to, have coffee with friends every morning. And somebody else is working and teaching and continuing to contribute to society and wanting to make sure that they leave a legacy. We really have to answer the question, what part are we going to play? If you are a infinite banking client, if you have life insurance, it's not about just saying, how much am I going to have for retirement? It's about saying, okay, what can I leave to the next generation? So if you're a client, if you're looking at the infinite banking concept as a solution to what you're doing financially today, don't be so short-sighted into thinking, oh, this is going to be the answer to everything today, but who cares about the future? They're one and the same. Don't be so scared to leave something for generational wealth to the next generation. Teach them. Talk about money with your families. Why aren't we? My family talked about money all the time. It was a topic of conversation nonstop because they owned businesses. They had to. If we have an 8-to-5 job, a punch the clock job, or whatever you want to call it, W-2, W-4, whatever you call it, if you have a job like that, there's still no reason you shouldn't be talking to your families about money. Everybody is very scared to tell people how much money they make. People can pretty much decide how much money you make based on what you're driving and how many loans you have, right? And they're asking those questions anyway. Talk to your kids. Let them know you don't want that information shared. But are you leaving a legacy? Financially and emotionally, mentally? Are we giving them the education to succeed, or aren't we? That's the whole point of everything that Nelson teaches in the infinite banking concept. The entire point. And we miss it because we are so concerned about rates of return. Who cares? What's the unseen? Okay, I could beat that like a dead horse, but I don't think I need to. You guys know where to go. farmingwithoutthebank.com. Go there, grab the book. If you haven't read it, read it. If you haven't read it in a while, reread it. Get informed about what you're doing. Stay informed, because what does Nelson also say? You use it or you lose it. So many people are losing it because they're not listening to this podcast. They're not reading the book. They're not engaging. They buy their policy and say, okay, it's all going to be perfect. It's all going to work out. No, it's not. No, it's not. You don't eat right one day and not the next day. We have to educate ourselves about this just like everything else. All right, you guys, go to farmingwithoutthebank.com, grab the book. Let me know if you have questions. Email me, maryjo@withoutthebank.com, and I'm happy to answer. Okay, have a great day, and we'll see you in the next podcast.